And we're back. Again, don't really know if there's a new episode or not, so let's just go. Oh, computer rooms, innermost area. Monokuma room. How much time had passed? The surveillance cameras at the gates were capturing footage of countless Monokumas falling at the hands of a child who fought like a raging demon. The Monokumas bolstered their numbers, and now 100 of them were trying to sink their claws into Mukuro. Most of them were running on autopilot, reacting to her movements based on prior information they had received in advance. But despite standing before hundreds of mechanical adversaries, Mukuro's face showed no fear. She hadn't sustained a single injury, giving her a presence that was nearly divine to behold. The Sakura Ogami was powerful enough to injure her arm. Mukuro in her current state could potentially fight Sakura to a draw now without relying on firearms. Jesus. She took complete control of the battlefield, taking in her surroundings as if they were a part of herself. She dodged attacks from the rear as though she had eyes on the back of her head and stabbed through Monokuma's weak points with her metal bar. No matter where the attacks came from, Mukuro deflected them all as if her skin were covered in eyes. Describing her as ultimate no longer did her justice. Mukuro had transcended the boundaries of humanity and became a pure killing machine, or had become. But despite that, even though she understood the ludicrous power her sister possessed, Junko was not afraid. She felt not one iota of fear. After all Junko can feel is despair. She even started to admire her sister's attempt to fill her with despair, but that sentiment quickly filled Junko with an orgiastic ecstasy of despair. Junko knew. She knew that Mukuro was neither hope nor despair. She was just a phenomenon. A disappointing girl who no longer understood herself, who only knew how to be violent because it was all she could believe in anymore. Mukuro had become an avatar of destruction beyond that of any military force. She couldn't even be considered a soldier anymore. She was a natural disaster, like a typhoon or a tornado. Or perhaps like gravity, she was now a fundamental force of the universe that only existed to bring despair to Junko. The mastermind enjoyed watching her sister go all out. If Mukuro destroyed everything and ruined her life, Junko would still be comforted by the despair. She could just go right ahead and overpower her. Junko considered this for a few seconds until a familiar, hopeless habit reared its head. A habit of getting so bored that it made her sick. The girl who had been grinning as she watched the screen now bore a look of calm stoicism as she reached for the microphone connected to Monokuma's speakers. Mukuro was no longer human anymore, but Junko knew how to bring her back. It was a simple feeling, really. With that hopeless feeling for Mukuro in mind, the mastermind said just one word. Mukuro. Fucking bitch. In front of the main entrance. Mukuro. That voice. It was calling her name. Instead of using Monokuma's voice filter, Junko's natural voice was coming out of a Monokuma unit. That's all it took. With one word, Mukuro Kusaba stopped being a force of nature and became a person again. Monokuma would not miss this opportunity. As if moving to the beat of Mukuro's shaking heart, a torrent of claws leapt to attack her. But Mukuro trusted her instincts and twisted her entire body to fend off the attacks, leaving her with only a few scrapes here and there. But the despair wasn't over yet. The ultimate despair didn't waste any time making her next move. Mukuro, watch out! Watch out! Watch out! Huh? As soon as Mukuro heard that voice, her mind went completely blank. Oh, shit. Mukuro, watch out! There was no mistaking it. It was Makoto's scream. The scream that saved her from the spears of Gungnir and changed her destiny. No, that's wrong. It took her a tenth of a second to realize that voice was just a sound clip that Junko had replayed, but it was more than enough time to drag Mukuro, who had regained her humanity, into despair. Right when she recovered from her moment of shock, Monokuma appeared behind her and roundhouse kicked her in the temple. Jesus Christ. Imagine getting roundhouse kicked by Monokuma. Oh, that wasn't good. I just blurred the entire screen. Oh dear. Oh, there we go. There we go. Sorry, we're just looking a bit out of focus there. She twisted her head to roll with the blow, but at that moment, a different Monokuma attacked her from the opposite side with a headbutt. And as soon as Mukuro dodged that attack, 3 Monokumas launched simultaneous drop kicks and knocked her to the ground. Ugh. The fact that they weren't using their claws meant they weren't trying to kill Mukuro right away. Before she could regain stand up again, dozens of Monokumas waiting for her on the floor climbed on top of Mukuro and pinned her limbs. One of the Monokumas waddled over to Mukuro as she lay face down on the floor and laughed. A pretty girl getting pinned by all these me's. I wonder if I should feel more excited about this. Don't make that face. If I wanted to kill you, I'd just pump you full of bullets right now. Ooh, but I don't think the audience watching this on TV would like that ending very much. I need to make sure I do it the right way this time. What are you planning to do to me? Mukuro asked in her emotionless... What are you planning to do to me? Mukuro asked in her emotionless voice. Monokuma guffawed and answered, Nothing. I'm just gonna stick to the original plan and make you play the killing game at this school. I'll erase everyone's memories again, and I'll just make them redo the introduction and the entrance ceremony again. In typical Monokuma fashion, he leaned his face toward Mukuro. But it'd be boring if we had to redo everything. Maybe this time I'll have you participate as Mukuro Ikusaba. Huh? I'll take away even more of your memories like I did to that irritating detective girl. You'll just be a poor little girl with no memory at all. As Monokuma talked and wiggled his body from side to side, the other Monokumas danced and twirled around. Amid this fantastical scene, Monokuma continued to describe his hopeless plan in a nonchalant manner. At first, you'll be the girl with amnesia, and everyone will feel sorry for you. But as they unravel the mystery of this academy, they'll find out who you really are. It's exciting to think how they treat you when that happens. I mean, when you get down to it, at that point, she'd just be another Izuru, you know? You get to know her so well that it's like, okay, cool. That's who you were, but it's not who you are now. In a weird way, maybe this would have been better for Mukuro if this had happened. Maybe. Maybe not, but maybe so at the same time. And it's hard to say. Obviously, because this is a what-if hypothetical scenario. Knowing you'll probably kill someone purely on instinct. Maybe I should rethink my rules about self-defense. You can't. Her memories would be erased? There was nothing she could do about her classmates hating her, but losing even her childhood memories would mean her connection to Junko would be severed as well. Even if Mukuro had no interest in the world, it was unbearable even for her. That would be unbearable even for her. I've heard of New Game Plus before, but this is the first time I'll get to see a New Game Minus. Should I tie you up for fun? Or maybe we should make this game even more masochistic. Forget hard mode, very hard mode, and inferno mode. Wanna just skip ahead to impossible mode? Maybe I'll erase your memories after I drag you on a motorcycle, pummel you with 1,000 baseballs, burn you at the stake, and crush you with an excavator. Huh? Mukuro knew what Monokuma was talking about. He was describing the tools they had prepared for the various executions they had planned for the students. After everyone reintroduces themselves, they'll walk around the school grounds and eventually find a flat-chested girl with amnesia. Wow, alright Junko, so now you're taking body shots. Literally, get it? Wink wonk. Jesus. Covered in bandages, with a Fenrir tattoo on her right hand. I'd bet a certain fan base might get off on that. If this were a game, that would increase sales by 500%. And Monokuma sounded like he was joking. Everything he said was deadly serious. As evidence, Mukuro heard a rumbling sound off in the distance. Now then, your sweet ride is on its way. Based on the engine's noise, Mukuro surmised that it was the large motorcycle that was supposed to be used for one of the executions. I took the time to bring this all the way from the punishment room, so you better be grateful. The sound of the roaring engine grew louder and louder, like the approaching footsteps of death. Mukuro wondered how Monokuma would drive it with such tiny arms and legs, but then she remembered she was dealing with an ultimate despair. Well, I mean, he tried before in Mondo's actual executions. Junko would make the impossible possible just to bring about despair. A despair that went hand in hand with Mukuro's fate. Did I fail? I couldn't fill Junko with despair. I couldn't save Makoto and the others. Questions raced through Mukuro's mind, but she wasn't able to answer them. There's no way she could have answered them so easily. After all, she was still alive. The sound of the motorcycle grew closer and closer, as if it was threatening to break Mukuro's spirit. Suddenly, Monokuma stopped moving. Oh, that was it. The other Monokumas continued doing their automatic movements. As this strange event unfolded, Mukuro noticed something. The motorcycle had suddenly gone quiet. After a few seconds, the engine exploded to life and began to approach even faster than before. Only a few seconds later, what appeared in front of the main entrance was an enormous motorcycle that plowed through groups of Monokumas like a predator hunting its prey. I thought it might be the rider of this motorcycle was none other than Mondo Owada. Mukuro and Monokuma were both visibly shocked by this turn of events. Oh, that's so fucking cool! Instead of addressing them, Mondo accelerated the motorcycle he stole from Monokuma directly toward Mukuro. Just before his front tire touched Mukuro, he popped a reverse wheelie and turned the entire motorcycle around. The back wheel swept over Mukuro's back, knocking away all the Monokumas that were pinning her. Goddamn. Why is it gotta be fucking me who's got so many voice lines? Hey, can you stand? Mondo asked, and begrudgingly offered his hand to Mukuro. Yeah? Confused, Mukuro took his hand and stood up. What are you doing, Mondo? I was so close! One of the Monokumas protested. Not in his normal... Oh, wait, Bashiki had a... Oh. Not in his normal voice, but it's the hacker Bashiki Madurai. Oh, yeah, you're Bashiki or whatever, right? That's right! Why are you helping a terrorist? I ain't bragging about this or anything, but I have no clue if you or this girl is lying. The veins in his temples began to bulge, and his cheeks flushed with anger as Mondo said, But still, I ain't the type to just stand around while some idiot gangs up on a girl. What are you saying? Get a hold of yourself. You must be experiencing Stockholm Syndrome. You've deluded yourself into thinking your friends with a criminal who's taking you hostage. Monokuma tried to explain to Mondo, but he ignored him, took Mukuro's hand, and pulled her onto the back of the motorcycle. Oh, shut the fuck up! Yeah, that's our Mondo! I don't know nothing about Stockholms or syndromes, but don't go acting like you can boss me around. God damn it, Mondo. Oh, well, I mean, that's fine. As Mondo shouted, he revved the motorcycle as if he was using it to punctuate his words. The ceiling-mounted turrets began moving, but the two disappeared before the turrets could take aim at the motorcycle. There is no new dialogue. Well, there is new dialogue, but that is not... As they zoomed through the hallway, countless Monokumas chased after them, waving their claws wildly through the air. Why? Asked Mukuro. Ah! Shouted Mondo. His voice was even louder than the sound of the engine. Don't get the wrong idea. I don't trust you at all. He lowered his voice slightly, as if he were whispering to himself. But still, I don't know why, but I felt like I could trust what he said. He? Inquired Mukuro. But there was no time for questions. The unit leading the Monokumas chasing after the motorcycle had almost caught up to them. And then, like the enormous maw of some fearsome creature, they brandished their claws in perfect unison. At that moment, the motorcycle zoomed by a certain girl. A girl whose fighting ability surpasses that of any normal human. The strongest girl on Earth. With a fighting spirit that defied comprehension, the ultimate martial artist kicked off the floor. A sound even louder than the motorcycle's engines filled the room. When Mukuro looked back, she saw Sakura landing on the floor, sending the pack of Monokumas flying several meters away. Sakura? When she heard Mukuro mumble her name, Sakura didn't acknowledge it. Like a statue of a fearsome god king, she calmed her breathing as she stood before the pack of Monokumas, ready for battle. Your pursuit method seems unbecoming for one who claims to be the ultimate hacker. An overpowering aura seeped from her skin, and her skin shimmered as an intense heat began to fill the hallway. Unlike the power of Mukuro's sheer violence, this was the power of martial arts. Mukuro froze the air around her, and time along with it, but Sakura was generating enough heat to boil space itself as she stood before the Monokumas. With that heat stinging her back, Mukuro looked ahead. Hifumi and Chihiro were cautiously peeking from behind the door leading to the dorms, while Aoi and Taka kept watch from inside the building. After passing them by, Mondo slowed down the motorcycle as he reached the front of the cafeteria and turned in to a complete stop. The other students looked warily at Mukuro, but among these students, Mukuro noticed two people who weren't regarding her with suspicion. Is it Kyoko and Chihiro? One was Kyoko, who seemed to be studying the situation. The other one was a skinny boy who was leaning against Kyoko's shoulder! Makoto! Makoto? Mukuro's lips began to tremble as she sat on the back of the motorcycle. Ignoring the pain coursing through his body, Makoto smiled at Mukuro and repeated what he said to her earlier. I'm glad you're safe, Mukuro. Unfortunately, Mukuro was unable to realize her hope of filling her little sister with despair. Instead, she had successfully planted the seeds of hope into her fellow students. Oh my god! Oh, this is so fucking cool! Oh my god! These light novels have actually been really good. Like, the Ultra Despair Hagakure was really fucking cool as well. Like, the action scene at the end in the underground subway. Obviously, that's where all subways are, but, like, in the underground subway with Hiro, like, using his fortune telling to help him and Kanon escape. Like, oh my god. That's so fucking cool. And, of course, Kanon, successfully throwing the fast ball with the crystal ball. Like, oh. So fucking good! Yeah, this was just cool as fuck. Like, and it's not just Mukuro either. Got some Mondo and Sakura in there too. This is so fucking good. I really like this. God damn. Where was this in the Danganronpa 1 anime, eh? Oh man, that anime would have been way better if they just, like, did their own thing, I mean, that would make no sense because it's an anime adaptation, but it would have been so much cooler if they just spent the money on, I don't know, even just doing this. So good. So cool. So badass. Well. Enough about that. Let's get back down to, I don't know, turning a little bit calmer, maybe, for a bit. Makoto had barely regained consciousness while Mukuro was fighting the horde of Monokumas at the main entrance. When he woke up, he did something extremely simple. He talked about his memories. Most of the students were still skeptical, even after listening to Mukuro's recorded confession on Chihiro's laptop. Obviously, they were still not entirely convinced at first when Makoto woke up, but after Sakura asked him a certain question, the ambience completely changed. And beyond the walls of this school, the world is completely destroyed? You're saying there's no one else alive? Makoto slowly sat up to answer Sakura's meek question. Don't worry. I'm sure Kenichiro is still safe? Wasn't it Kenshiro? No, Kenichiro. Whatever. I know what he means. Was it not Kenshiro? I'm sure he'll still keep his promise to you. Sakura gasped. Kenichiro was the only man she couldn't defeat. A man who had promised her a rematch and made her one other promise as well. How do you know that name? How do you know about that promise? Because you told me. No. Makoto slowly corrected himself. You told all of us. Sakura was silent after hearing those words. She then faced the other students and spoke in a loud, clear voice. I'm going to trust Makoto. Hina, maybe? Sakura? Yeah! Though Aoi was shocked, Sakura continued to speak with determination. What Makoto just said is something I keep locked away inside my memories. I kept, even. In fact, I was planning to keep that a secret until the day I died. But if I shared that secret, that means there was once a strong bond between Makoto and myself. And with my fellow students as well. Shit. Fuck. Oh well. Makoto continued to talk in a gentle tone. Though it couldn't have been good for his health, he continued to slowly talk about the memories that the other students no longer had. Is that Hifumi? Well, I don't know, I feel like Toko's probably... Well, because no, Hifumi's was about writing his own thing, right? Why do you know about the story I'm planning to write? Are you a specialist Nen user who can predict the future, dude? Oh, wait, no, that was just Hifumi. Oh, right, of course, because it didn't... Are you a specialist Nen user who can predict the future? You already finished that story, Hifumi. Oh, yeah, that was in the anthology. You had me help you with inking. Wait a sec. How... Oh. Wait, what? Oh my fucking god! Oh my god! What? Wait a sec. How do you know I extorted money from that girl related to the Kuzuryu clan, dude? Because you even tried to sell my organs to them. Oh my god. Hero, what the fuck? That's who you swindled? His wounds were excruciating. But even so, Makoto kept smiling and talking about their lives together, as if it was his duty to do so now that he had regained his memories. As the other students listened to him, they slowly began to realize something. The vivid accounts he was providing couldn't be explained as just passing knowledge. Clearly some kind of bond between them all had been erased. Only Byakuya remained cynical. There's no way I would have grown closer to any of you. It's likely that you're all secretly working together. Though Byakuya was still hostile towards Makoto's recollection of their memories, for the time being he determined that Makoto wasn't actually a terrorist. Mukuro had brought enough time for Makoto to wake up and share his memories with the others. Even if she hadn't intended to do that, there was still a small sliver of hope that she grasped tightly. And now, she looked at the boy who had smiled at her. Mukuro didn't know what to say. She couldn't think of anything to say at all. The battle was over, and Mukuro was now back to being a disappointing girl. She turned away from everyone's faces and apologetically climbed off the back of the motorcycle. But Makoto saw her and slowly opened his mouth to say, "Thank you, Mukuro. You saved my life." Makoto gave her words of sincere gratitude between his weak breaths. Mukuro couldn't bring herself to look at him as she mumbled to herself, "Why? Huh? If Kyoko told you, then you already know what I did, right?" After regaining his memories and learning the truth, Mukuro should have been nothing but a hated traitor to him. Why would he smile at someone like her? Because Makoto's just that sweet of a man. He was willing to let Junko not die in Chapter 6, but... And of course the whole fucking we can fix the remnants of despair thing. Mukuro kept her head down. Makoto smiled as if he was unaware how to respond and said, well, unsure. I responded and said, "Well, I guess you're right, but you also saved my life many times during these past 2 years." And Makoto took a deep breath, deep quiet breath, and smiled at Mukuro again. "You're my friend. We all spent time with each other. It would be great if you could look for a different path. Not despair. If there's any way I can help you, I will. Do you really think I can walk another path at this point? I don't know what you can do, or even what I can do. But I think it's more important to look for that path instead of actually finding it. Is this intentional or a coincidence? Just before he regained his memories, Makoto had said something similar to Mukuro when she spoke to him in the nurse's office as Junko. Regardless of whether he lost his memories or regained them, those words revealed Makoto's true character. Well, he's not too deep of a man, but God, he is really fucking nice. As Mukuro confirmed that to herself, Makoto blurted out something that was almost too trusting. It's not just you, even Junko can... But he was immediately interrupted. Oh, hello! Monokuma's face appeared on every monitor in the academy, and his laughing seemed to be coming out of every speaker. I could have kept pretending to be that ultimate hacker, but it's boring to impersonate someone who doesn't even exist. If this keeps up, I'll lose my identity and turn into Kankuma. Kanakuma, fuck. Kyoko looked up at a surveillance camera and addressed Monokuma directly. You seem to give up pretty easily. There isn't a bear anywhere that gives up as easily as I do. Regardless, I'm pretty sure Chihiro has figured out the secret of my control program by now. So just as I thought... Oh. So just as I thought, you could... Wait. So just as I thought, you included that program on purpose. Kyoko realized something when Mukuro told her about Junko. There were two reasons such a hateful person would intentionally leave an obvious clue inside the Monokuma units. Either Junko wanted the students to learn the truth about the outside world and themselves on their own, and turn their hopes into despair, or she was looking forward to that clue resulting in her own plan being undone, which would allow her to feel despair toward herself. She was an angel of everlasting darkness. God, that's edgy. Delighting in her own despair and using it to spread despair and destruction to those around her. Why would someone like that continue to play the role of Monokuma? Actually, I set that program for Chihiro to discover if she happened to be one of the final 5 survivors. I feel so sad and empty that my preparation was a waste, but I'm going to think about it positively. The word retreat doesn't exist in Monokuma's dictionary. Yeah, we certainly know that from Ultra Despair Girls. You just keep on running. I don't think a single type of Monokuma ran away. Except when they were trying to run in circles. Nervousness began to grip the students as Monokuma continued talking in his relaxing, uplifting voice. Now then, it looks like everyone's here, including Toko, still tied up in her room. So let's start the heart-throbbing, exciting special graduation exam. Huh? The students broke out in noisy confusion, but Monokuma ignored them and kept talking. Don't think about it too hard. Relax. Change relax to Rupert. For all I... What? Rupert? What the fuck? For all I care, I'll still be the most adorable bear here. Byakuya, visibly annoyed with Monokuma's nonsensical ramblings, shouted, Everybody knows you, Junko. Stop this stupid game and show yourself. Oh my, don't you know? If you want to lure the mastermind out of her heavenly hidey hole, you need to bring a worthy sacrifice. You're not worthy enough at all. Do you really think the mastermind would show herself for your pathetic hope and despair? He roared maniacally, then began to explain the special graduation exam. If you pass my exam, everyone will graduate. But if you fail, you'll be held back for a whole year. I'll reset your memories, give you a fresh new lease on life, and you'll reintroduce yourselves at the start of the school year again. They say people's lives don't come with a reset button, but I'm not a people. Whether it's soft resets or hard resets, I can do as I please. Yasuhiro seemed more confused, but the other students knew what Monokuma meant by reset. He was going to force them to relive their school lives once again. As Yasuhiro struggled to understand, Taka pointed at a nearby monitor and shouted, Stop this already! No matter what you do to us, we'll never commit murder! These past few days should have already made that clear to you. What was that? Jumped Monokuma. Are you serious? Of course! No one here would ever take another human being's life for any reason! As Taka shouted, one of the students, a pale-faced girl standing apart from the others, looked away. It was Sayaka. Right, yeah, we did start this whole story with her murder plan. So, As she trembled, a voice popped up from behind her. What do you think, sir? Oh, wait, no, it's probably Monokuma, isn't it?
What do you think, Sayaka?
She couldn't even turn around from sheer terror, but Sayaka knew. She knew Monokuma was standing right behind her.
Do you really think none of you will become a killer?
Monokuma leaned towards Sayaka and asked her a question only she could hear.
By the way, Sayaka, why did you go to Makoto's room when nothing strange had happened yet? Did you two have an inappropriate relationship? What would your fans think if they found out you made a move on a boy by sneaking into his room? Or were you there for some other reason?
She could barely make a sound, much less scream, as her trembling worsened. Monokuma had nothing to gain by cornering Sayaka and toying with her emotions like this. He simply wanted to see the young singer fall into despair over her true character. Well, I mean, to be fair, should any of us have really been surprised that Sayaka tried to kill someone? She did, have an entire conversation where she said to Makoto, yeah, I'll do anything in my career, even some less than savory things. So, I mean, sure, I guess murder wasn't the first thing on my mind, but, I'm sure not on a lot of artists' minds. And for that reason, Monokuma did not relent. Sorry, no. But you know it's out there.
Hey! What were you trying to do to your close friend you've known for the past 2 years?
Her determination from last night blended with the memories Makoto had recounted and ate away at Sayaka's mind like a disease. As her mind began to rip itself apart, she fell to her knees. A clear ball flying at just under 105 miles per hour struck Monokuma in the mouth with enough force to sink into his face. Jesus, the speaker of Monokuma's mouth was immediately destroyed as his body rolled into a wall and stopped moving. Sayaka came to her senses and looked where the ball came flying from. Oh my god! 2 light novels have featured someone yonking fucking heroes' crystal ball just smash into someone's face. I mean, to be fair, Leon also did that in Danganronpa 1, but it was with the incinerator, not someone's face. We saw Leon breathing heavily as he stared intently at Monokuma. His hero grabbed him and yelled, "Oh, dude! Why'd you do that, Leon? God damn it, man! The crystal ball is really valuable, dude!" Leon had stolen Yasuhiro's crystal ball and thrown it at Monokuma. That Monokuma bastard was trying to take Sayaka hostage. What was I supposed to do? Dude, a crystal ball cost me $2 trillion! $2 trillion, dude! They don't even print that much money anymore. Oh, bullshit. Besides, the war's all screwed up. What the hell are you gonna need money for anyway? But if it's safe out there, I'll just join the major leagues or whatever and pay you back. Well, I could pay you back doing something else besides baseball. As those two argued, Sayaka fell to her knees. "Hey!" shouted Leon, running toward her. "Sayaka, you okay?" She looked at him and stared blankly. "Oh shit, I can't believe I was gonna kill you. Leon." She'd made up her mind, and she raised her head as she said, "There's something I need to confess to you later." What? Seriously? Sayaka was staring at Leon so intensely that he briefly forgot about the current situation. "Not just to you, but to Makoto, and the others too." Sayaka had made up her mind to confess the sin that was weighing heavily on her heart, but Leon seemed not to hear the latter half of her remark. He ran back to the others, slapped Hifumi and Yasuhiro on their backs, and shouted, "Alright, everyone! Let's ace this exam or whatever and get the hell out of here. Get out of here already. Fuck, I really messed up that line. There's no way I'm gonna let my happy memories of this place get taken away." Monokuma inside the monitor responded, Fine. Now that things are finally coming to a boil, let's start the graduation exam." Sakura, who had been outside the dormitory, suddenly appeared with some information. The Monokumas in the hallway are acting peculiar. The students all moved to the main building to see what Sakura was talking about. There they saw 50 Monokumas standing in 2 rows along the walls of the hallway, and one standing at the very end of the hall. There was something strange on top of this Monokuma's head, an enlarged version of the escape button that Makoto had obtained from the Mono machine. As each student took in this sight, an announcement rang throughout the school.
The me at the end of the hall has a button on top of his head that'll open the main entrance. You'll have 15 seconds to get that button, and if you do, I'll let you have it in place of a diploma.
The students seemed surprised by the straightforward explanation. Only Celeste remained calm, and she asked Monokuma with a bored look on her face. Of course, it is not as simple as running up and taking it, is it?
Oh, how mean. Do I look like the kind of headmaster that would interfere with his students' graduation? Forget the gunfire salutes. I'm gonna send my graduates off with some fireworks. 100 fireworks to be exact. Enough for 20 seconds of hardcore partying.
The more perceptive students immediately realized what he was talking about. The bombs installed inside each Monokuma. They would explode one after the other, filling the hallway with fire as soon as time started.
After 15 seconds, the me standing at the back of the hall is going to sacrifice himself to give you guys one final firework. By the way, this probably isn't important, but that button isn't very durable.
This graduation exam was Monokuma's way of saying they had no intention of letting anyone leave. It was clear from the explosion the students saw during the entrance exam that the halls of Hope's Peak Academy would be bathed in fire. Even if someone was lucky enough to survive the explosions, the burns on their body alone would be enough to send them into a fatal shock. Their lungs might be completely incinerated by the scorched air before that. Even if they sacrificed one student to run through, the odds were low that they would even succeed. But there was no reason for every student to run in at once either, and a shadow of despair fell upon their faces.
Nice, very nice. I almost want to take a picture so I have these faces as a souvenir.
As Monokuma laughed from behind the monitor, Sakura stepped forward. I'll do it. I've only seen the explosion once, but I believe I'm capable of withstanding its power.
No! Shouted Aoi. You can't! Even you couldn't handle 100 of those explosions!
Sakura shook her head. I'm the only one who even has a chance. Suddenly, Mondo remembered the motorcycle he parked inside the dormitory and said, Hold up! That motorcycle might be fast enough to go through those explosions. I'll do it. Don't be hasty, urged Sakura. Even if the motorcycle is unharmed by the explosions, that doesn't mean its rider will be. Sakura and others continued their debate. Yeah. One person stepped toward the hallway lined with Monokumas. Come on, Mukuro.
I'll do it.
Mukuro! Screamed Makoto weakly. Mukuro, with her back facing Makoto, turned her head to the side slightly and gave him a small nod. She knew it would come to this. She knew why Monokuma would pose such an impossible exam. Junko is already looking forward to the next despair game. She's going to erase everyone's memories, including mine. She just wants to torment us and fill us with despair before that happens. But Mukuro knew her sister's personality all too well, and that's why she was confident. She knew that the escape button was real. Whenever Junko brought despair to others, she always made sure there was a possibility that despair would befall her instead. If the students won this gamble and made it through this horrible situation, they would finally escape to the outside world. That outcome would obviously fill Junko with immense despair. In the same way, she left a clue in Monokuma's control program. Junko could not be satisfied unless she took pains to assure her own destruction. Yeah, that's a masochist. It was the quality that made Junko the ultimate despair. That's why Mukuro was determined to do it. She knew she was the only person who stood a chance of making that outcome possible, even if she had to risk her life. But right now, Mukuro wanted to live more than anything. She wanted to hold on to this world, a world she had no interest in previously. She didn't even know if this hesitation she felt was disappointing or not. But she wanted to live and continue searching for a new path. A path where she could abandon her submission to despair, where she could accept the sins of the past and continue to live. Mukuro, who was known as a war machine, found her heart beset by overwhelming fear and anxiety. Until now, it had never occurred to her that determination was necessary to live. As if she was brushing that fear aside, she quietly said, "Thank you, Makoto." Unfortunately, the words she said to the boy who showed her new possibilities never reached his ears. Sakura, however, heard her and frowned as she said, "If you're planning to sacrifice yourself as an act of penance, I'll stop you with all my power." Though her words were firm, there was unmistakable affection hiding in them. Both girls had dedicated their lives to battle, and yet Mukuro felt a twinge of jealousy towards Sakura for possessing something she lacked. Mukuro leaned towards Sakura and whispered in her ear, "What? Are you serious?" Sakura's frown intensified, and Monokuma's voice blared throughout the halls. "Alright, I'm gonna start the exam now. Ready, set, go!" There was no time for questions or objections. The frontmost Monokuma exploded, sending a roaring wave of heat through the hall. "Oh boy! Oh, please don't get yourself killed, Mukuro! I really don't want to see you die!" But Mukuro didn't look away. She began moving, powered by resolute determination. I'm gonna need to drink before this. I'm not sure I'm ready." "Don't die, Mukuro, you glorious bastard, please! Please, I want you to live." Monokuma Room. As soon as the graduation exam started, the mastermind focused her control entirely on the Monokuma holding the escape button, and completely synchronized her field of vision with it. She knew what was going to happen next. She could predict what her sister Mukuro would do in this exact situation, where she would choose to focus her superhuman skill with weaponry. And so, through Monokuma's eyes, she watched the scene unfold exactly as she had predicted. A pointed metal bar burst through the explosion, heading straight for the weak point of the Monokuma holding the escape button. Specifically, it was aiming for the point where the bomb's detonation system and Monokuma's power source overlapped. It flew straight and true as if it had been fired by a master archer. In order to bring despair to Monokuma, and by extension Junko as well, the super soldier known as Mukuro Ikusaba threw the pipe like a spear so it could attack the same weak point she had pierced in the nurse's office. As explosions filled the hallway until only fire remained visible, the spear's speed and precision as it soared to its target defied all human logic. But the mastermind knew. She knew Mukuro had used her power to fill the world with despair. Power was all that disappointing girl had. But that power was useless against Monokuma. The mastermind had predicted that Mukuro would put all her effort into that throw, and Monokuma caught the metal bar perfectly between his hands. The force of the throw knocked Monokuma back several yards, but the pointed end of the bar never pierced through his chest. Well, that was disappointing. The mastermind turned to look at a different monitor. She wanted to see the look on Mukuro's face when she realized she failed to strike Monokuma. The despair of seeing the final Monokuma explode right before her eyes, completely obliterating the escape button. She wanted to see this memory of her disappointing sister's final moments as her newfound hope sank into a dark pit of despair. On instinct, she turned her attention to the surveillance camera that hadn't been destroyed, but instead of seeing Mukuro and the others, she only saw Sakura, who looked as though she had finished launching an attack. Eh? She only thought it was strange for 1 second, but then the hopelessly powerful mastermind had completely understood the situation and shifted her point of view to Monokuma. But because of that single second, Junko would feel just a pang of despair. God, I don't know if it's this narration, like from Junko's kind of point of view, or if it is just generally the narration, but fucking... the narration really likes to stroke her dick. 3 seconds left. Amid the smoke, flames, and heat encircling the hallway, it burst through with the speed of a cannon shell. It glared at Monokuma with hot, boiling eyes that betrayed the icy emotion on its face, and then, sharply, swiftly, strongly, it transformed into a living weapon that cuts through everything, revealing its true form in that hall of despair. 2 seconds left. Monokuma, who was still holding the metal bar in his hands, tried to move, but at that exact moment, the living weapon carved a path through the flames and appeared before him. Its body, which had never been wounded on any battlefield, was sustaining all manner of burns and injuries. But even so, it did not falter. The fire in its eyes never flickered once. 1 second left. The living weapon, Mukuro slammed her knee into the back of the metal bar Monokuma was holding. The sharp tip of that metal bar pierced through Monokuma like a rail spike, shredding the detonator and his power source into pieces. Time's up. The 100 explosions ceased and smoke blanketed the hallway. Mukuro had dived into Monokuma and the pristine escape button now rested in her hand. She and the other students of Hope's Peak Academy had passed the graduation exam. Woo-hoo-hoo! It was only a small amount of despair. Monokuma had tasted it in only 3 seconds. Oh! First floor hallway. Junko. Mukuro looked down at Monokuma. He could no longer move or self-destruct. When she spoke to him, a static-filled voice emitted from his mouth. It seemed his communication function still worked.
I never expected you to do that.
He still sounded like Monokuma. It seemed his voice modulator was unharmed as well.
I must have underestimated you. I never thought you'd need anybody's help on the battlefield. When I give the signal, please...
Wait, hold on. When I give the signal, please launch me forward with a roundhouse kick. Mukuro whispered these words to Sakura just before the explosion started. After Mukuro threw the metal bar, she jumped into the air at the exact moment Sakura unleashed a roundhouse kick. Right when Sakura's foot made contact with her own, Mukuro used the force generated by her kick to propel herself at Monokuma. God, anime as fuck. Using the ultimate martial artist's superhuman attack like a springboard, she shot herself through the air like an artillery shell. Enduring intense heat, shrapnel, and blood-draining G-force, she stayed conscious as she charged through the hallway engulfed with explosions and despair. Mukuro trusted Junko. She just trusted Junko to predict that she'd throw the metal bar and catch it accordingly. Then she tried to look at her face as the despair sets in. The Junko Enoshima she knew would definitely do that. Although Mukuro hadn't predicted that her sister would try to kill her with the spears of Gungnir, she had a better understanding of her actions now. As Mukuro stared Monokuma in his face, all he could do was laugh scornfully.
You put your life in someone else's hands for a deadly battle. I don't know how I feel about that. It'll always be a half-assed disappointment. I guess this time I'll just say I lost because I didn't see this much disappointment coming. The end. The end.
God, what a fucking poor loser. What's wrong, Junko? I'm a little upset that you got outwitted by your sister. I hate her. I fucking hate her. Mukuro shook her head at Monokuma. No. You're wrong, Junko.
If you want to talk about winning or losing,
I think we lost before we even started. Mukuro's eyes shifted from side to side as if she wasn't sure, or as if she was unsure of something. She fidgeted in place as she continued to talk.
No matter how much despair they felt, you didn't think they'd kill each other the way they were before. That's why you erased their memories. They aren't like the others you forced in the past. You knew these students would never do it. That's what you believed, isn't it? What are you talking about? So, it's okay, Junko. I'll bring back everyone's memories someday, and I'll show you everyone's happiness, and their bonds. I'll show all that to you, and fill you with even more despair.
Mukuro nodded after she said this, as if to cheer her sister up. After several seconds of silence, Monokuma responded.
You finally beat me this one time, and that lame speech is the best you can do. You're such a disappointment. You never fill me with despair. It's just constant disappointment.
After pouting like a sore loser, Monokuma continued to speak in his usual tone.
But you guys will be back. And when that time comes, I'll invite you guys to a wonderful place. I found out about this fun island while I was running things here.
Monokuma's laughter filled the room before the static finally cut out and his remains fell silent. He won't be talking again anytime soon. The mastermind was already preparing a new despair to bring to the world, and to the students of Hope's Peak Academy, Junko included. In the end, the mastermind stayed in her Monokuma persona until the very end, and Junko Nishima never showed her face again. It was as if she resented the despair Mukuro had given her. Yeah, fuck you, Junko, you suck. That thought almost filled Mukuro with despair. When she heard her classmates calling for her, she sealed that despair into the depths of her heart. From now on, she would seal away all her despair. And one day, when she can give Junko the perfect despair, she'll unleash all the despair she stored and plunge with her sister into a dark abyss. I won't leave my little sister alone. In the end, that was the first hope that disappointing older sister had felt since she was a child. Alright, narration. Several hours later, main entrance. Mukuro, are you really going to go out wearing that wig? After receiving a blood transfusion, yeah, I see her right there, of the correct blood type, Makoto was beginning to show signs of recovering. Mukuro, holding her wig to disguise herself as Junko Nishima, nodded. If I live as Junko, I might be able to understand her better. Despite that, Mukuro's voice still sounded like her own, as if she hadn't fully decided. And I've made up my mind. While I'm out there, I decided I'll accept everyone's hatred toward me, and toward Junko. I can't die until I've destroyed all the despair that Junko has spread. The damage that ultimate despair inflicted upon the world could not be measured in terms of money, culture, or even human life. Television broadcasts had already begun informing people that Junko Nishima and Mukuro Ikusaba were the heart of ultimate despair. Among the survivors in the outside world, there are still people who hadn't been tainted by despair yet. Regardless of the fact that she released Makoto and the others, to these survivors, she was nothing more than the reason the world ended. And to the terrorists wearing Monokuma masks who continued to ravage the world, Mukuro was nothing but a traitor. She was now in the hopeless situation of being enemies with most of humanity. But Mukuro wasn't making a big deal out of it. I'm going to try. Not to kill anyone who comes after me for revenge. Wouldn't it be safer if you just turn yourself in? Dude, wanted Yasuhiro. Well, you might just get executed instead. But you could live to be an old lady if your trial keeps getting pushed back, dude. Just like my school life, huh? Mukuro slowly shook her head at Yasuhiro. Laws, justice. These things no longer exist. Is it really that bad out there? Maybe we should just stay in here, dude. Byakuya glared at Yasuhiro with contempt. Ignorant idiots should just shut up. Your fate won't change whether you stay in here or not. Though he was shocked to learn the Togami Corporation had been destroyed, Byakuya continued to remain firm and proud, even toward Mukuro. You are a rare asset, continued Byakuya, so I will let you live for now. Depending on your actions, I may consider forgiving your crimes after I've built a new world. Only a Togami could boast that they're capable of forgiving the crime of ending the world. You don't need to do that. I don't plan on just surviving. Returning away from Byakuya, Mukuro looked at the other students. Everyone was reacting in their own way. Kyoko had a look of quiet preparation. Toko, having just changed back from Genocide Jack, was panicked and confused. Mukuro looked back on the 2 years she spent with them, and turned to Makoto, who shared the same memories as her, and gave him the escape button. Makoto, you press it. Huh? Me? I think it's better if you press it instead of me. I don't know, I think it'd be a little more symbolically valid if you did it, Mukuro, but as she watched Makoto accept the button with some hesitation, Mukuro thought about what Monokuma had said. You guys will be back. Mukuro knew that Monokuma was telling the truth. After all, the file that students needed to fully restore their lost memories remained hidden in the academy. The file the students needed. The research notes of Yasuke Matsuda, the ultimate neurologist. His research is the key to restoring everyone's memories. Even if the students no longer have their memories, they may be able to repair the bonds they had built amongst themselves over the past 2 years. But as long as their memories remain unrestored, the mastermind could still repeat her deadly plan. Although the island mentioned earlier sounded strange, the students could not turn their back on the despair facing them. Then, let's go. Mukuro remembered everything that was happening in the outside world. The boy who had chosen to remain inside the academy 2 years ago was now choosing to leave. How much did he struggle to come to that decision? He was determined to face the despair awaiting him outside, and hid his internal conflict from the others. By protecting Makoto's hope, Mukuro would bring despair to her beloved sister. But she no longer knew if the end result of her goal would lead to hope or despair. She pulled the wig over her head and hid her face with her hands. Was she smiling because hope was waiting for her? Or was she crying because her path would lead to despair? When she lowered her hands, her face was devoid of all emotion. Mukuro no longer knew what expression she would wear on her face. At the same time, Makoto pressed the escape button. A siren began to wail as the turrets retracted into the ceiling. From beyond the heavy door, a bright light appeared. An infinite number of ifs, and all the possibilities contained therein, encased the world. Accepting everything, hope, despair, and even the feelings of that disappointing girl, Mukuro Ikusaba. Do we get the cutscene, or is it just... Yeah, baby! Oh, man. If only, am I right? If only we were actually allowed to have that ending. Oh my god. Oh, you know what? I really liked that. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much just a Mukuro story, right? I mean, we got bits and pieces of other characters in there, but oh my god, that was so fucking cool! I don't think I can, like, sit here and, you know, do my normal thing of talking about it for half an hour. I just don't have that much to say about it. But, oh, god damn. Makes me really want to just deck Junko even more than I did before, you know. I mean, she hasn't been on a hot roll, I must say, you know. Danganronpa 1, you know, she was fun. Danganronpa 2, terrible. And here, yeah, I really want her to die again. I know she's died once and kind of another time as an AI, but I just really want every universe of Junko to die, frankly. God, yeah, I do feel real bad for Mukuro. Like, she clearly did not, like, she was not treated well at all, but what are you going to do, I suppose? I mean, that was so far in the past that I think she fell from grace, I guess. There was kind of no saving her. At least not in the circumstances we were in. Yeah. I mean, really, the thing that saves her isn't her bonds. It's... I mean, it is, but it's Makoto calling out to her. Like, in that one moment. And for that to happen, he'd need to have his memories back. He'd need to know she is Mukuro. Yeah. It does make me wish we got even more from her, though. Mukuro's pretty cool. I wish we did get a little bit more Mukuro. But obviously I understand why we don't. But, yeah. I guess that's it. It was a fun, light novel. Really cool characterization of Mukuro. Just really did Mukuro real well. I'm glad I read this, if not only for her. I mean, this was, like, the main thing. Like, she was the main thing, so, yeah. That doesn't really check out, but... Oh, God, yeah. That was really good. I really liked that, but... That's it, guys. I'll, oh shit, actually. With how I'm recording this. Next time for me is going to be Danganronpa 2. But next time for you guys is going to be V3. So, well, I hope you enjoy that when it comes out. I'll have to wait a bit longer, but yeah, I'll see you guys in that next one. And until then, goodbye.